How can AI impact your startup growth? That is today's topic. We are going to try to decode that. We are going to try to figure out what it is that AI can do to help accelerate your startup. And we've been doing this topic for a few weeks now. We're working on an article, a national magazine article that will be published likely in November or early December around this topic. So today we really want to get specific examples of individual companies who are using technology or using AI to really help them out with their startup. Before we kick it off, and we've put together, we think, one of the top resources for startups who want to learn how to start, scale, exit, repeat. This book really goes a long way. Hey, Stefan, nice to see you. We love having you on stage and getting your opinions as well. This is a live podcast, and we are syndicated on your favorite podcast network, whether it's Apple or Spotify. You can search for Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. My co host is Michelle Van Tilborg. And Mimi Ostrander is the lady who writes the blogs on Startup Club. And again, if you haven't already done so, please sign up to that email list because we have a lot of announcements coming out at startup.club about authors and speakers who are coming on this platform. Michelle, what do you think about today's topic and how it can impact startups?
I'm just going to say I don't think there's been anything that has personally impacted my productivity as a business owner, as someone who works doing consulting, as AI has in the last few months. Like, I'm just so amazed, and it's makes me very happy. So I'm very, bullish to hear how other people are using AI in their business. I want to learn more, Colin. I want to learn what other people are doing. I want to hear suggestions, and I'm very excited to be able to share my experiences as well.
Yeah, I had some fun last weekend at home. My wife owns a school, a Montessori school. And I said, well, would you like me to write 8 articles for you in 5 minutes? She goes, what? What are you talking about? You can't do that. It's not gonna, it's good. AI. It's not really gonna be very good and whatnot. And so she runs a Montessori school in Fort Lauderdale. It's an AMI accredited Montessori school, which is pretty specific, sort of on the high end of Montessori schools, we'll say. And I typed in different questions, like I typed into ChatGPT, uh, what is it that Montessori teachers or how are AMI Montessori teachers trained? Or give me 8 reasons why AMI Montessori is beneficial for my child. So I just kept going on and on with these different topics. And honestly, the answers were just phenomenal. They were perfect, literally perfect. And she can now run with those. She didn't have to spend $500 an article, which is probably about what it would have cost had she done that a year ago, and she would have had to wait a period of time. She could literally, push up a few questions in a button, and there she is. Little Flower Montessori is getting the parents are now getting more educated on the philosophy of the school because of AI. And this was just one example, one of many, many examples. I know you're in the audience here, and I know you've had some examples of how you used AI, and we'd love to have you on stage. Just please raise your hand. It's Friday afternoon. We know the app is wonky. We know the audiences are growing slowly now, and they're growing bigger and bigger, but they're growing slowly. We really would just like you to participate. This is going to be used for an article that we are publishing through a major magazine. It's either Forbes or one of those magazines. And it's a topic I think near and dear to every startup out there. Like, what is it that we can do to accelerate our growth? And I just gave the first use case of writing blogs for a school. Who wants to go next? Michelle?
Yeah, I'm going to go because I have a lot of use cases. I do some consulting for a business actually that's overseas. And one of the things that I have been working on with their team is doing a website. Okay, so it's like a B2B website. So, I have subject matter expert in the domain. However, I thought, gosh, I have all these things I know need to be on the website, who we're talking to on the website, etc. So I thought, how about if I just asked ChatGTP what would be a good global navigation and information architectural system for this website? So I put it in there, and oh my gosh, I was so amazed how good it was. Like, I really was shocked. It actually seemed like it thought of things. I know it's not thinking, guys. I know it's not thinking, but it had things that, I had even forgotten, and it grouped things together in such a precise, good way. I felt really, really good about it. And as a consultant on these kind of projects, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how you can't live without AI if you're doing any kind of consulting, because I think it also made me look pretty good, and I was pretty happy about that. So I really have found, my experiences is really, put some time into the prompt that you're typing into Chat GTP. It's really, really important. And talk to it just like you would be talking to someone, let's just say that's a new employee, for example. Like, how would you be giving, an employee, a new employee, an assignment, giving them context, maybe writing up, like a half a page brief, whatever it is. And it is phenomenal. It doesn't have to be elegant writing for the prompt, and you can just keep going and regenerating. And I have found it to be so useful in terms of helping me avoid blind spots, as well as just, kind of refining the idea, Colin.
Yeah, I like it when we a few weeks back we asked the Chat GPT to come up with 5 slogans for Startup Club, and we had a marketing professional, and I've no doubt she was very good, and she's probably charged about $150,000 a year, and she came up with a pretty decent tagline for Chat GPT. Sorry for Startup Club. But it was the community coming together, and it was just long and a little bit wordy. And then one of the 5 that popped out for me on from the ChatGPT answers was fuel your startup journey. And I thought that was really cool. They really understood it. They really figured out, what it is that Startup Club is. So we can use Startup Club as a marketing executive for us. Sorry, we can use, oh my gosh, we can use ChatGPT as a marketing executive for us. And by the way, you will be able to use Startup Club very soon. We're actually launching on Tuesday. We're officially going to announce it. The day that the book comes out, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. That day, we're launching Startup Club AI. And what we've done is we've used the book. We've put that into I guess a database or a learning module. Michelle, you know the language better than I do. So I'm sorry, I'm not a technology person, but we basically train the AI with the information from the book. So if you go to startupclubai.com, you will be able to ask it questions, and it will provide answers based on the book. It's absolutely fascinating that it can do that. And we want to expand that AI to include all of the podcasts and the shows and all the clubhouse shows we've done, so that it can generate even better responses, and then eventually point you to particular episodes as well, or even play or videos, short videos on a particular topic if that's relevant. Talk about a learning engine. So I'm in a position in a startup, and I want to figure out what to do next, and you can use startupclubai.com to do that. I'm excited about that one, Michelle. That's a
I know, I am
that's a
too.
game changer for startups, right? Like to have an AI mentor that you can literally
It's a
ask a
coach
question of.
almost, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to replace a coach. I'm very big on coaches and believe in coaching from as a startup, and I don't know what's going to do that. I think it's really just a way of trying to solve problems or answer questions. Like how do I become a sales driven organization, what can I put on a business plan? Obviously, I think the book itself provides more detail, and the AI can be a little cryptic in its approach. That's what I've noticed. But I think it can still be valuable and an interesting tool. We're going to change the way that we interact with the internet and with with the AI coming out. It's going to have There are going to be many different ways that it can be used to help accelerate our startup growth, fuel our startup journey. And using your ChatGPT as a marketing executive, I think that's an excellent idea. Back to you, Michelle.
You know, I have another use case. Like, all right, so we talked about website design. Now, let's not forget, if you're like looking for like an agenda or strategic plan, I've used it for that. You're going into a meeting. For me, and I'm sure for everyone here in the audience, it's really important to be prepared. I have used ChatGTP just to help me prepare, a high level strategy. I put in there, stuff like, as a senior strategic consultant or coach, give me X, give me an overview and a plan with task for X project. And my gosh, it came back in bullet point format, objectives and task associated with it. It was pretty amazing. And again, I think it doesn't replace the people or their brains or their subject matter expert or leadership skills. Obviously, it doesn't have leadership skills, but it helped to articulate, and it helped to, be able to publish something. And I think it's extremely important as we're operating in business to, back up strategy and thoughts and meetings, etc., with, written guidance. It's absolutely important because not everybody, perceives things the same when they're sitting there hearing it, and being able to send people something in advance that they can think about and prepare for, as well as follow up, is extremely powerful. But I think, Colin, we have somebody on the stage that wants to talk about this subject. So, Kamal, we're looking for people to tell us how they use AI right now in their startup. So, Kamal, all right. I guess he didn't want to talk. All right, that's fine. All right.
It's something that really is cool that I've done recently, and I've done this a few times, is have it write contracts. Now I know they don't like they have caveats on this, and I will caveat it myself that you really do need to consult with proper legal advice. When you're doing anything or like this. But the fact is, when we run a startup, we just don't have all the budgets. If you want to write an employment contract or something basic, or an offer letter, any of those kind of legal documents, yeah, we can call a law firm up and spend $500 or $1,000, or we can type it into ChatGPT. Is it perfect? No, you have to be a little bit of an amateur lawyer, I agree, to sort of edit it and make certain you're making the right decisions. But I'll tell you, I mean, for me, if it's an agreement, a lot of these agreements that we do with individuals, employees, or suppliers, and maybe the suppliers are a little bit different because they tend to be a little more intricate. But a lot of these agreements are just a meeting of the minds. This is where we all sort of agree on these particular terms. During the last 5 minutes, Michelle, I just wrote another agreement that we were looking for, that we wanted to sign today. So I finished that one. Productivity. Wow, you really
I
can
know, I know.
pull
And
off
you
a
know what?
lot, can't
But
you?
you made me remember something, Colin, that I am finding very useful. Again, because, if we're all honest with ourselves, it's really good to get unbiased feedback. So I have been using AI to put contracts in, as well as, overview documents, of projects I'm working on in, and saying again, I like kind of the using the the role of a senior executive or a senior analyst. And I've been putting them in and saying, for example, as a senior strategist, what is missing in this following, strategy or this following document? And, I mean, how many times could you like have such a vast amount of information in an unbiased way come back and tell you different ways to approach things or big gaping holes that you might have? Like that's huge for me personally because I like to move fast. Right, Colin?
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? It's these use cases. Like we used to require when we used to set up an office, for instance, in the 1990s, we would spend $50,000 to $100,000 on phone systems, this, that, and the other. Now you just do a startup, you don't spend. You got your cell phone, you got your iPhone. Paul, this is accelerating. This is going that even a step further now, where you're able to utilize um, technology like AI technology to help accelerate your growth. Another area that we've picked up on at paw.com are um, BPO, business process outsourcing, or customer service is done out of Philippines. And we're able to provide use ChatGPT through Zendesk to provide higher quality responses to clients who are asking questions. Not only are we creating a smart chatbot that can provide some of the answers without going through a human, but we're also designing it so that when someone does respond in the Philippines, it's done with proper language and it's correct in its manner. But what I like the most, Michelle, is we're programming it so that it has a positive response. We're actually institutionalizing positive communication, and I think that's a critical concept as well. And that something that we think, yeah, make it sound professional, but also we want to make it sound like it's positive. And that
Right.
there's a pun for you. It's
The tone. Yeah.
positive, right? It's PAW.
Yeah.
Good.
Haha.
All right. We'll
All right,
we'll
but
let you
we've
do the
got
moderating now.
shadows. We've got shadows on the stage, and she has the most amazing avatar picture here. So let's hear what Shadows has to say.
That avatar picture was actually made in Midjourney. So I guess I'm using
Sweet.
AI.
Yes, you are.
I've had a project evolving over the last 3 months. I'm a writer and a creator. And what I do is I start with a word and I get ChatGPT to give me background on the word in the sense of literal and symbolic language that I can use to visually represent it, textures that can be used, colors that can be used, and facts about the word. Then I go to Midjourney, create the image. From the image, I then create a quote, and from the quote, I write a reflection. That's been evolving over the last 3 months. And then recently, I've added another chat, and what it does is it acts as personas of writers and people that are known in that particular industry. And when I write the reflection, I then put the reflection into that group and say, provide me feedback. So at this point, I'm moving towards writing a book of these daily writings.
I'm waiting for the calendar, the daily calendar.
So, you're the second one to mention that. It may come.
I like that idea. I think that's great. It's the kind of and you could have done this without AI though. I can see you're quite
I
talented.
could have if
So
I'd
how is it
spent,
really making a difference on your productivity? Yeah.
yeah, I could have spent hours every day, or it might have even taken me a couple of days to do each one of them. These are being done within 2, 3 hours tops.
Well, we do like the avatar that you have there. So it sounds like it sounds like it's something that we'll have to pick up on. And yeah, it's that productivity gain. I actually fear for those people who work at a startup or at a big corporation who don't use AI. I was talking with one company and they said that, well, they're concerned that any of their code, and this was around programming, that if they put the code into ChatGPT, the code could then be used by other people as well. But the fact of the matter is, if you can code 10 to 20% faster by using this technology, that's going to be a game changer. It's going to reduce costs for startups that need code complete as well. So we're seeing it in so many different areas.
And
I
Colin, it could
Yeah.
debug your code. I think it's much more than that, right? Just like writing, it could help you write more efficient code, debug your code, and the list goes on, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just adding Ellie. I just added. Sorry, added. I just followed you as a friend. I don't know that the names are changing here. I'm trying to follow as many people as I can now who are in startup club, so we can maintain a better connection. And if you really like a speaker like Michelle and I, you can actually click on our profile. I believe you can, and I don't know if you can anymore, but click on our profile, and there are three buttons, and you can actually click on the bell so that you know when we're actually speaking, and then it can pull you in the room. This app has gone through a lot of weird stuff in the last few weeks, but we're trying to figure it out. Al,
Yeah,
what do you think about
it has.
AI?
Yeah, I just, I came into the room and it's nice to meet all of you. I don't think we've met. Mimi, I think you and I have maybe crossed over in some rooms. Is the conversation about what we think about AI in relation to our work? Was that the
Yeah, it's
question?
really about how does a startup accelerate its growth by using AI, or how can you
Okay.
use AI in your work to improve your productivity?
Yeah.
And we're looking for specific examples. We're actually working on an article for a national magazine.
Hmm.
So where some of the content from this show will be put into that article.
Okay.
So if you have an idea
Well,
or use case, tell us your name of your company as well, in case we do quote it in the
yeah.
article.
Yeah. Well, let me introduce myself by saying, first of all, that I'm the author of 24 traditionally published books, and have been an author for over 30 years. These are books that are translated into 14 languages. I also am the president and owner of Stern Literary Enterprises, and I do writing workshops. I work with aspiring authors on book projects. I've been doing that also for about 20 years. On Clubhouse, I do mod several rooms, including my own house, which is called Writer's Lab, where I offer writing workshops. And I've also been very involved in the whole screenwriter and script writing rooms where we've been following along with the WGA and SAG after strikes. So there's been lots and lots of conversations about AI and utilizing it or not utilizing it. There are all sorts of use cases in terms of how this affects my work. Um, but I have really big ethical issues about this. I mean, I came into the room and was overhearing somebody talking about having just written a book by using AI, and I apologize because I really barely heard anything. So I really don't know what you're writing or what the book is or what you meant or anything like that. So again, I'm totally ignorant here. But my concern is that every time you use AI, you need to know that you are actually tapping into a whole library of other people's intellectual property that you are not paying them for. So, in other words, my books have been all over the internet for years. They're easily accessible. And so they are part of what's been used to train AI. So, again, I'm not sure what your book was, but 10 of my books are daily meditation books, which are books with 365 pages with a quote and writing and a daily affirmation in various areas: pregnancy, parenting, intimacy, life balance, bereavement, et cetera, et cetera. And so, if you go into, or if I go into AI and I ask it to do something to help my writing, I am going to be getting a response from AI that is basically just spitting back stuff that they've scraped from the internet, which means I am now benefiting and basically, in a certain way, plagiarizing other people's work that they aren't being compensated for. So I have some real ethical issues with this. I mean, in terms of best use, there's all sorts of things I could be doing. I have some of my books have the rights have reverted to me for some books, and if I wanted to, for example, update or revise any of my books, I could feed my own work into AI. theoretically, and have them update and revise them, which would be much quicker than me doing this myself. So then I would actually be plagiarizing myself, which is probably not plagiarizing. But anyway, those are some. I sort of, my ears perked up when I came in the room. I just sort of came in to see what was up, and I do have some pushback on AI for the reasons that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I have actually my first book coming out this Tuesday, and it's called Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. It took over 10 years to write it. I know that sounds like a long time, it was just an enormous piece of work. We submitted it to Forbes last November, um, just as ChatGPT was coming out. We do talk about AI in the book, which is surprising, but nothing in the book used AI whatsoever. We interviewed almost 200 people. All of those interviews that actually made it in the book were done by humans, including myself. And it was just an enormous project. Here's a confession though. Come February, we're asked to do the description of the inside cover. And so I went to ChatGPT. I put the introduction into the ChatGPT, the introduction at the very beginning of the book. And I asked it to write the inside cover of a book, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It did a better job than I could ever do from a marketing perspective, especially I tend to be a little shy and not, um, I don't want to be pushy or bold or whatever, but it did a really good job of talking about how it unlocks the secrets of serial entrepreneurs and this, that, and the other. And we know it's good because about 2 months ago, when we're on with the Forbes staff, they used the same inside cover for the Amazon listing that's coming out. And we asked them, well, why haven't you changed it? This isn't really our expertise. You're the experts. And they responded by saying it was absolutely perfect. Do I think that the writing in the book is better than what AI can come out with? I'm actually going to say yes. I actually think that it being so human in its approach and the way that with the style that we did the book in, I actually think it does. We do articles now for Forbes, and the way I've done it is I've written the article completely. And then sometimes I'll take that article or pieces of it and put it into ChatGPT just to see if I can get a more interesting approach on the language. So I am starting to use that. But I find sometimes when you write the article yourself first and then put it in, it can actually be effective. However, I started the show by saying, there are a lot of startups. And my wife runs a school, and I told her I could write you 8 blogs for AMI Montessori in literally 5 minutes, and we punched it in and it produced it, and the blogs were absolutely amazing. So you can use it for that kind of stuff. Now, is that taking from the internet and plagiarizing? I think there is an element to that. I think there's an ethical considerations that are going to need to be looked at for this AI and the companies that run the AI. But we as startups, we want to be efficient. We want to get it out there. We have to move quickly. We are in a very competitive environment. We're competing with Fortune 5,000 companies. And in order for us to succeed, we got to find ways to use AI. Any thoughts on that? It's okay to push back too. I don't mind a little criticism.
Can I ask one
So
thing?
for
My
L,
name is
sorry, first just
Lokesh.
L. Any thoughts on that, L?
No, I mean, everybody has to answer to themselves. I mean, obviously, you're going to want to be competitive and you're going to want to use whatever you can. If you're okay with that, and if you're okay with putting your name on writing that isn't actually your writing, it's machine writing, then you have to be okay with that. I'm guessing that the kinds of things that AI does that's really effective would be exactly things like a blurb for Amazon. They should be fabulous at that. So it just depends on on what you're comfortable with. That's all. Did my question is who published the book actually? Did Forbes publish the book?
It's published by Forbes Books. That's correct.
Got it. Okay, cool. So now are they aware that that came from AI?
Oh yeah, no, we talked about it. We're only
Oh,
talking about the inside cover of the book.
right.
That
No,
is
I
correct,
understand.
right?
No, and
Yeah.
publishers are using it, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. But these again, for me, it's an ethical consideration and it's a slippery slope. But again, everybody has
Well,
to make their own decisions about
well,
that.
But to understand too that the content was original. right? So I took the introduction of the book, I fed that into
Right.
the chat GPT, and I asked it to produce it. So it pulled it simply by rephrasing in a sort of a summary way. And that's how it did it. I don't, I don't think it's pulling from, unless it's you're taking from other people's writing style, that could be, but I think in this particular case it's less so. Something like the Montessori example for a small business, where they just say write a blog, 8 reasons why AMI Montessori is different than AMS Montessori, and it goes and it delivers a really good product. That's, yeah, you're right on that one. You're right on that one. But just unfortunately, a lot of startups, a lot of small businesses, schools and whatnot, they just can't afford to
Right, but
hire the writing staff.
but Colin, it's okay wherever you're at, but you don't need to justify it. What you're kind of doing is saying, I'm doing this, but I'm justifying it by saying that I have to compete or that everybody else is doing it. And I think that's beside the point. I mean, I'm more interested in how you see it. I mean, what I usually say to people is, let's say that you're editor at a publishing company and you have an assistant, right? And you're working on a project, on a book project, and you assign to your assistant to write the introduction to a new book that's coming out, or to write a chapter in the book. Would you give her then appropriate, consideration and say that the introduction was written by Julie, or would you take it as your name on it? Those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. Again, I'm speaking from an ethical point of view, not from a business
Absolutely.
point of view.
Absolutely, and in our book, it was really a lot of people who contributed to it, and we definitely named every individual who was involved in the book. Over probably about over 120 people. All right, very much appreciate that, Michelle. I know you were doing the moderation here, so I'm not certain who's next. I think
Yeah.
Sanjit wanted to say something.
Yeah, Sandkit, I think you are next here on the stage. We're looking for how you actually use AI to help your startup grow. So what are your thoughts on this, Sandkit? What are actual use cases that you're using? Sandkit.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Hey,
First thing first, I just wanted to say that, okay, fine,
hey,
as we talk of,
Sandkit, could you speak up a little bit? Maybe you have to put the phone closer. You're low.
okay, am I audible now?
Much better.
Perfect. So, as far as, plagiarism is concerned, we all know that, when we see the news, we have to just see the chronology of what exactly happens and how AI can be, a good thing for people conditionally. Technology is never meant to be bad. First thing first, when you see the news, be it, via the TV or via the YouTube, or any which ways, or the publisher thing. Yes, there is the first person who captures the news, and then there are 10 different news publishers that gonna go ahead and publish it. One thing is there. So plagiarism is there, and when you said, I don't know if you have said, but someone else has said that yes, it should be ethical. It should not be something like the copy and paste thing. It should have applied to something, you know of what they would be presenting. Second thing is, when even if I think of AI is like the thing, but it's going to take its time, because technology has never been, or I would say the new change is never been appreciated by common people. It is somewhat like that. It has to go through its own journey, and it is not something that is going to be obsolete in the long run, for sure. And yes, as far as what you asked is use cases, probably I would not be able to say use cases that I would be able to disclose, but yes, I can say that there are many use cases. Conditionally, it should happen. It should happen for good. Just like I saw that, okay, fine, Meta has this, glasses they have just launched, all these things, and probably there is a course of the time that people could go ahead and grasp it, and people could go ahead and use it. Maybe not many, I don't know, but then again, it is meant for people. When people can go ahead and make their living with AI, that is the thing that is going to transfer the technology for sure. It is not, it should not be for the elites to go ahead and earn. It should for the common people, that they can go ahead and make use of it, and they can go ahead and make some transformation in their life. Even if I'm a publisher, even if I'm a anything, probably anything, it should make some value to my thing, that whatever I do in a day. Supposedly I'm driving a car, so Tesla has this. Okay, fine. You drive a car. So there are use cases. Conditionally, it should show ahead. It should go ahead and make sure that okay, fine. People are using it in a sense that it is transforming something in a day. I had rooms before. When Clubhouse was not changed. So it was the only thing that I used to think about. Okay, fine. What are the things that how can I make a change in your life, even if I bring an AI? Even if what is the only thing that what is one thing everyone should introspect and ask one thing. What is that one thing that you can't do if AI is not there? You will get your answer. You may be cooking, you may be driving, you may be going, you may be coming, you do anything, you may be talking even though. So use cases come out of all those things. What hits a common person? Conditionally, it should give you some value proposition, that okay, fine, this is what exactly that I was looking for. I mean, supposedly, if I can't cook, so I'll just have the thing that okay, fine, that is my normal routine, or if I'll drive, or if I work. So these are the things probably the companies are working, and exactly we are working on that thing as well, that how we can go ahead and make sure that okay, fine, there should be something sort of blockchain and AI, anything of that sort. I mean, there are something of absurd thoughts that come into mind, and then you have to work on it, and it is a rigorous thing. It's not an easy thing, for sure.
Great. Sanket, thank you very much for
Sure.
that. We do want to make sure we give everybody time. We are also, you may not know this, but this is actually syndicated in podcast as well. It's a live show. If you're listening to it in the podcast, you can come on stage and share your comments every Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern on Clubhouse. We have a lot of fun, and I think we're making progress. I do want to move on to Pali. Just clicking on your follow there as well, but I just wanted to move on to you
Hey
as well.
guys, thanks for letting me speak. I was going to ask Ellie, maybe Colin, you, how would you, this is a I think what Ellie was describing was a problem. She kind of felt, I guess, stolen from, if I may use that phrase, that you know AI took it and now it's sort of kind of. How would you give credit to people who the writers, I guess, have the same type of issue? uh, you publishing your book and that gets consumed by various large language models, and now it's sort of guiding people and you're not getting paid for it. How would you go about uh, dealing with that sort of crediting and benefit giving to the original author? Now, original author, mind you, is also using the large language model of society and learning from the internet and other places. So they're not necessarily giving that credit, but I'm wondering, how would you go about giving that credit and giving that benefit, I guess, of the book or
Yeah, well,
sales?
one thing I do in the book is we interview a number of authors like Vern Harnish, who wrote Scaling Up, authors like Jeffrey Moore, who wrote Inside the Tornado and Crossing the Chasm. And so every time I talk about a concept, even if it's a concept where I didn't talk directly with the author, I'll try to recognize the original source. We'll do research to figure out, who is it that came up with this concept, or where did I actually learn this from, so it doesn't come across like it's my work. This is really the community coming together to put in this book. Um, like, we're embracing AI. In fact, we've actually entered the book into a language model. It'll be coming out on Startup Club on October 3rd, the day the book launches. It's startupclubai.com, and it's going to use the book. I think we're in a little bit of a different situation here at Startup Club because let's be quite frank, our our day job is running an incubator. We run several companies here. We start them, scale them, exit them, and do that over and over again. And so for us, that's where that's where we get paid.
Yeah.
For me, it's how do we give back? And if AI can help give back and help entrepreneurs in any way, whether it's through credit from the work that we've done, or if it's through AI, I'm appreciative of that. That's the whole mission of Startup Club is fuel your startup journey. It is to try to like really help out startups in their journey.
I definitely see the approach you've taken and how you're justifying. Obviously, you're giving credit to the people you interview, and now the people you interview, might have gotten it from other sources. I think Ellie's point was she wanted she wanted to have some sort of credit there. But I guess there's a chain of credits. If I learn it from you, you learn it from someone else. I give you credit, fine. But I guess in a way, almost like a blockchain way of describing a particular concept. Who was the original synthesizer or person who came up with it? Is that the way it would be dealt with? Just curious about
It would
and
be nice if it did source, like how Google will source, right? And, I have no doubt that the policymakers and the lawsuits will begin to flow, and people who create unique concepts, unique ideas, and they just become sort of known by these AI models. I have no doubt that we're going to see some evolution and change here. I do want to really focus on our topic of use cases today. I don't really want to go too much into that.
Yeah, let's
Ellie, if
go.
you're still here, though, I do like your perspective, and I would like to, when we do the article, I want to make certain we get that perspective in the article as well, so we can show, some of the negatives that AI is bringing to startups as well. Go ahead, Michelle. I know Jack came in, but I think I moved him up to moderator, and Chad, I don't know where he came in with respect to Jack, but I'll let you sort of handle it.
All right, so let's go next, I think, to Jack. I think you came in next, and then we'll go over to
Yeah,
Chad. Is that right? Let me know if it's not, guys. But
it's okay with me. Appreciate it,
okay.
Michelle. Hi, Colin. So with the Chat GPT, I like it because I it just helps me with my blogs. I can get a blog used to take me. It could take me a couple hours and or even a couple days because I start working on it, don't finish it, pick it up tomorrow. Now I can get it done in like less than a half hour, no problem. And it's just such a big help for somebody especially like me who was terrible in academics in school with with writing and English and the whole gig, right? And then I'll go through and I'll read what chat gives me, and you can even use originality AI so that it isn't, you're not copying someone else's stuff. And the plagiarism drops really low, so it's more original. But I read through all of it, and if it doesn't sound like me, which in a lot of cases it doesn't, I'll eliminate some of those words that I would never use, and I'll put in my own words. And I might shorten things up a little bit. I'll get it to fit so when I read it, this says, like, I'll say to myself, well, this sounds like something I would say. And that's how I deal with it.
Yeah, it's not the end all, be all to end all, or whatever the statement is. Is I found like on business development letters, because I do a lot of those, I have to do a lot of rewriting. It does, get some concepts that I, want to make sure that I include, but it tends to write in an overly flowery way that I would never write in. So that's one thing, I'm going to kind of work on my prompts for. But I'll add that to the list, Colin, and that is, like a business development emails and business development concepts.
Yeah, they do. I've done that before. They do a really good job on developing sales letters as well, and you can have them personalized. I mean, it can really be a game changer for lead generation. You just triggered something else, Michelle. I was thinking about is writing a business plan. As a startup, we need to figure out what is our strategy for growth, for launch, for raising money, that kind of stuff. But a business plan can be a little daunting, especially when you want a plan that looks very sophisticated that you're presenting to investors. Writing a private placement memorandum can be very challenging, developing risk factors. It's ironic when it comes to plagiarism that the SEC actually only accepts documents that have been plagiarized. And if you have new concepts where they have or new language, then they will go to a review committee and it will slow your process down. I know this because we did an IPO and we had to write an S1. I've also done private placement memorandums. That's one area where copying is actually encouraged, so that you can get approval. They don't like original stuff, the SEC. They want to see stuff that has already been known and approved by them and the language for them. So you can use this technology to help you write a business plan. I know in the book we have the 4 sticky note business plan. It's a very simple concept, and it's all about establishing your story. What is it? Who you're serving? What is your purpose? What is your X factor? And then how many resources do we need to get it launched? And how much money do we need to raise? And what are the KPIs? It's a very simple business plan, and I do that at a cohort. I teach that. I'm doing another one this Monday, where we develop a business plan in half an hour. Now, this is something that I don't think ChatGPT can help you with. But then once you've developed that plan, you can then put it into the ChatGPT, and it can spit out, a nice document that looks like something that you could present to investors. So I think a business plan is another one of those use cases that a startup can use to get their company launched faster. All right, Chad, thank you for being patient. I know you're one of the last to for us to call upon, but thank you for being patient. And do you
Yeah,
have a use case you'd like to share with us?
not generally. Like I come from a background where I trade money for people, so I'm super excited to see how well this technology grows, but I've not quite found a very good use case in our day-to-day work for it. I've tried multiple things, but still, I don't think that it can take our jobs any day sooner or later. But I'm still quite interesting in
Tell us
finding more use
again a
cases.
little bit more, Chad, about what you do. I don't think we quite got that.
I manage money for people, if that makes up for you.
Yeah. So obviously you know what you're doing and you're an expert, but what just comes to my mind is just doing research to verify you're picking up all the information that's out there.
Yeah, so we already have that in Bloomberg Terminal, right? So I don't think we need something like that anymore.
Michelle, you know what I did, and Chad, maybe this can help you as well. I also just used Chat uh, to help me to put together a 90-day email campaign, and within like just a couple minutes, it was like it was mind-boggling to see how
I love
fast
that.
it put together a whole email campaign for 90 days. And I got the whole thing. All I got to do is put it into the program. It's just unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And what's interesting there too,
Yeah, it's
Jack.
been there for an year now.
Yeah, what's interesting, Jack and Chad. What's interesting is that what you're talking about, Jack, is being incorporated into a lot of third-party systems. So we all talk a lot about Chat GPT, but a lot of what Chat GPT does is being integrated. I'm working with one company. They've been working on it now for almost a year, a platform to manage e-commerce uh, businesses. So specifically targets e-commerce businesses, and it becomes their marketing staff. We were talking about a tagline for the company, and it's like basically your AI marketing team. And what's nice about these applications that are starting to launch is that they integrate very nicely. Earlier, I mentioned Zendesk. We've got some integration going on there. We've seen many. applications launch using this technology and integrating. And I think those enablers, those technologies will also help accelerate startup growth.
Colin, the Zendesk, what is the integration there
So that's a
for Zendesk?
it's essentially a customer service platform,
Oh,
right? So we have at paw.com, we have about 6 or 7 people in the Philippines, and they interact with it, and they'll take phone calls and
oh,
do emails
Well,
and chats
it
and stuff like
plugs
that.
in, right? It's like a lot of other software. You can plug in third party apps,
that's-
right? So this particular application that Colin's talking about is one of the most popular customer service platforms. And then it has hooks, right? So that you can plug in different apps for, customer management, for now AI, all kinds of cool productivity tools.
got it, got it. Now, is paw.com a website where if you wanted to, engage with you guys, is that how you
That's a
use it?
great question. So to engage with us, you go to www.startup.club. That is the website. That's our main website, and also we have an email list that we'd love for the members to join, where we reach out to you, where we give you alerts about cool sessions, about cool people coming on board. So that's how you would reach us. And our email is hello@startup.club. But before, we get to the end of the show, I just want to mention something. I want to make sure everybody knows this, Colin. With the change of Clubhouse's business model, change of their technical infrastructure, it's really important that we all follow each other. They have moved to a model where it's a two-way model, is the way they have termed it. So if you want to get followers, you have to follow someone and then they have to follow you back. It's not one way. So Colin and I make an effort here every session. We try to go through the audience and follow everyone. And if you're enjoying this session and you also want to add to your followers, just follow us and you should get a follow as well in response.
I'll tell you one thing. The problem with this app is that hardly people are real. I wish that they should first and foremost should go ahead and do that, to go
Yeah.
ahead and do some sort of verification. Otherwise, it would not matter what people are saying, what people are talking. It should have been authenticated. If that is not authenticated, then it's a problem. So what everyone speaks is like all in vain. So they should make sure that everyone should be authenticated, and that's what exactly happens. It should not be a free flow, or it should not be a free flowing way. That is for sure. Yeah, please go on.
But the point of Clubhouse existence would be not there then, man. Like the only reason why Clubhouse exists is the anonymity of users, right?
Anonymity is good. I'm not saying anonymity is bad, but you at least go ahead and make sure that you go ahead and how would someone would know that you are Chad, I'm Sanket, she's Michelle, he is Colin. How would someone would know? Because I have heard hundreds of voices with the same name, with the same everything. So I'm not sure this is how it will work, and
Yep.
I'm very, very,
Yeah.
I'm
Miss,
really,
Miss, Mr. Mr.
I'm
All right.
Mr.
very.
Colin, Mr.
It
Sanket,
should
thank
Colin,
you.
not happen.
Thank you.
It should
Hold
not.
on, Pop
It
Pop.
should not happen.
Sanket,
Probably
thank you
I'll.
very much. We don't want to get off track here. We're going to try to stay on track. We got 5 minutes left to close the show. Papa, we wanted to get to you. Pronounce your name. I don't. Papu.
Mr. Colin, how do you how do you
Yep.
how do you find the fact?
I'm sorry.
What is the logic?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
How do you find the fact? What is the logic behind your thoughts?
I don't know if it's a connection or whatnot. Did you get the question, Michelle?
N- n-
No, I'm
Don't
not.
think. Don't think. Okay, okay. I will text. I will text you.
Yeah, or put it in the chat. If you want to put it
Yeah,
in the room
thank you.
chat, that might be a good idea as well. Um,
Yeah, I think that
like I know this AI is something else, and there could be AI people on this app pretty soon, and we don't even know. And I do agree with the idea of authenticating. There's a lot of changes that have happened at Clubhouse. They're working through it, and we're going to continue to be supportive of them and keep the show going because the power of the community. Nothing is more powerful than the community. We're very excited about the book launch that's happening on Tuesday, October 3rd. That's next week. 10 years writing, 200 interviews. It has gone through an awful lot of work to get to this point and stage. We're just very excited about that. If you get a chance, check it out on Amazon or your favorite bookstore. It's called Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, and we are expecting it to be a bestseller coming out in the first week. That's what Forbes has said based on early orders, is that it will be a bestseller. So we're pretty excited about that. It really does deconstruct what it takes to launch a successful startup. And we do touch upon AI in the book. The book was submitted last November, just as ChatGPT was coming out. But we do talk a lot about catching the next big wave, and it talks about how the 2020s will be the time of AI. And those entrepreneurs who try to catch the wave, who try to use AI to help accelerate their startup, how to use AI to help you in your business or help you with your work, you use AI to help grow wealth. Those people who embrace it, they will benefit from that. And we cannot ignore it. It is part of our society now. It's something that's a reality. And the companies that ignore AI will fall behind, and those that embrace it will move ahead. This is truly a historic moment in time where everyone who is an entrepreneur can use the technology to accelerate their growth. This is a wealth creator greater than anything I've ever seen in my lifetime. And we've been through a lot of changes in the last 53 years. From the advent of dial up internet to broadband internet, rise of social media, e commerce brands, e commerce platforms. We've seen a lot of change, and this is just the beginning. Thank you very much. We've been listening to Serial Entrepreneur, Secrets Revealed, and we do this show every Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern on Clubhouse. So please come and join us and add to the conversation. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next week.